I'm Simon King, and this is What's Wrong. I haven't done a podcast in a long time. I decided because of plague, I was going to avoid doing podcast. I didn't have anything to talk about. I was just basically, I was in hibernation as much of the world was.
Right.
I was not doing anything interesting.
Like a big old depressed bear.
Like a big, big depressed bear. And I thought to myself, what a better thing to do than to create more content? Because all I want to do is create content. I was put on this earth to create content. And what I've done to create content is now we're filming
Well, you reproduced.
I did reproduce.
That's
content
right
creating.
there.
That's content creating. This is my child content. Let's be realistic.
Give it a thumbs up.
Let's be realistic. This is my child content. And so what I decided to do is, let's restart the podcast. Let's do what the kids like nowadays, which is the video.
Oh,
Video.
Kids like the video.
well, hello there.
Hi, and the video quality will improve when I figure out how the video works. But right now we're filming this on a potato.
Well,
so-
we're bathed in a golden glow from
and
heaven.
I have with me. I have added to the podcast now. I've decided that this is going to be a guest-oriented podcast, just because I got bored just talking. I became insane. What happened was I started. Like you see those movies about or those documentaries about guys who are like people who go around the world in a sailboat by themselves, and at the end they're just like they've just become a different person. Yeah, they've just become this. They're just crazy. And I realized what was happening was me in a car just doing my podcast, talking to myself. I was just become insane, and I was agreeing with everything I was talking about because I'm my own yes man.
So to make yourself feel less crazy, you put other people in the room to listen to you talking to
That's
yourself.
what I've done. And so what I've done is
this is the Dylan Listens to Simon Talk to Himself podcast.
I now have a producer, the lovely and talented Mikey Greenwood. You can't see him.
Hi, Mikey
You might be able to
Greenwood.
see us. There you go. He's here. He's our producer. He will be producing things.
Producing.
More content.
More content.
More content.
It all comes down to
I've been told-
the blessed act of creation.
If you want content, you need to have a producer produce content with you.
Yes.
He is the hoe to my farmer.
Right there in the name.
He is the tractor to my field.
I'm your hoe.
He is my hoe.
Yeah.
And also I decided, what better way to kick off the the next generation? Make
Sure.
it so.
Yeah.
The next generation, than have one of my only and favorite all-time guest on What's Wrong with Simon King. You and I did the only live What's Wrong with Simon
Only
King.
in favorite are not mutually exclusive.
No, that's true. You can have your only guest.
I'll be your Huckleberry.
Not a fan. And so
Okay.
I have with me the lovely and talented Dylan RHYMER, ladies and gentlemen. Please give Dylan RHYMER a round of applause at home.
Thank you.
Mikey's here to applaud and agree with me.
Yeah, like Ed McMahon.
That's what it is.
This is the
He's-
bad. You should call this the bad posture podcast.
It is.
It's
It's
the way
like-
you position this chair and this
a lot of
mic. I cannot comfortably.
We'll call the podcast Slouch.
It's called the slip disc cast, and it's people with bad backs in the middle age. So anyway, it's basically it's freeform much as it was, although we have an exciting thing that we're going to talk about. I'm going to talk about something first, and then we're going to discuss it.
I can't wait to be
I'm
excited.
going to talk about what's wrong, and then we're going to do some other shit. It's going to be fun. So
Also looking forward to that.
and we're getting drunk. Right? Hello.
This is the most sober
and
I've been in
I
weeks.
have a mustache. So
I know. I was thinking you could be on Yellowstone with a stash like that.
well, the lighting is quite yellow.
yeah.
It is Yellowstone. It's
It's kind of a like how's that look to the folks at home? Now that I'm actually facing.
yeah, it does have a little bit of it. I feel
It's like somebody opened the briefcase from Pulp Fiction, just right up here.
it's a little like we're recording in the storage room at a chicken shop,
Right.
which is kind of what went. But it's a lovely studio.
Or behind the car from Repo Man.
It is a lovely studio. Many crates. Come to crates. If you want to put things in a thing, crates. If you have a tiny dead baby, that's the right size right there. Also, holes for worms.
Yeah.
Come to tiny crates.
What are some of the books they got over there?
They got a couple of books. They've got, this is Dave Grohl's face. And then the back of Dave Grohl's.
Ego is the enemy. Fuck you!
I could have written
I
a
don't
book
want to be
like
that guy's friend.
So what I want to talk about, before we get going.
Oh, can we swear?
Yeah, like we can't.
No
It's funny.
swearing.
I've been doing a lot of press for the special, and every time you do it, they're all like, it is a family show. I'm like, I'm not. It's 9 o'clock in the morning in Saskatoon. I'm not gonna get these motherfuckers.
Yeah.
What do they expect? It's like, I heard about this fucking cold snap, you sons of bitches. Cunts love cold snaps. Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
Like, what? Calm down. So I'm going to talk about what's wrong at first, and then we're going to talk to you about what I just said about what's wrong.
Okay, what's right with what's wrong?
What's wrong, and
I'll
then
do
we're
that.
going to talk about some other shit. And so I have to talk about it right now. I have to talk about it. Little tiny Putin and his big old war dick. And here's the thing. All right, I honestly did not expect nuclear war to be on the table again. I thought we had got past that. I thought Rambo solved that problem in about 86. I thought we had solved nuclear war as a thing. I thought we had War Games, that movie, Matthew Broderick, early Matthew Broderick. Yeah. I thought we had I thought we basically got through this, and now we were onto the electronic warfare is the way. But instead, we're still down this path of having a conversation about the end of the fucking world. Look, the way the world is going to end, we all know it's global warming. That's not nuclear winter. Right. Well, we're past nuclear winter.
We have to have just one?
Well, I mean, you can't have... Well, maybe global warming and nuclear winter will balance each other out. And we'll just get some sort of fish people that will take over. I'll hail the fish people. So what I'm saying is, like, did you expect... Because we're roughly the same age, 107. Yeah. Did you expect that we would be at this fucking place again?
Well, hey... sorry, is this...
No, go ahead. No, go ahead. Go ahead.
This
is what is
I've never done this.
Just speak into the mic.
This is the interesting thing is I'm handling it pretty well. I had a bit of a freak out the other day.
Yeah.
And you know what? It would have been fine at home with the girl watching some trashy TV, watching some Ted Lasso, loving it. And then right before she goes to bed, she checks the news and goes, "Oh yeah, they invaded." And then I just went till like 4 a.m, just like, "Oh my god!"
And you're like, Ted Lasso invaded?
That's right.
You got so confused.
The nicest invasion.
Just a soccer ball comes through the window. What the fuck?
But it's like I've had a few days to. I was just like, Jesus, we had fucking Trump, and then we had an election, and then we had more Trump, and then that's over. And Trump
got an insurrection in there?
Won't fucking go away. An insurrection, then a bunch of assholes in pickup trucks. And it's just
the honky tonks,
but it just does not stop. And of course I didn't even mention the pandemic, but
that's old hat.
So like when it comes down to it, it's like as a Generation X person, I'm not sure if you're a bit younger than I am.
I was 77, so I'm slightly.
He's 3 years older.
I'm in that weird little spot.
I always thought you were like 4 or 5 years younger.
No, I'm in that weird lotion. Because Chris Fairbanks would say, the wonderful Chris Fairbanks. That's what he said. He was on the stage once, and it was the perfect thing. Because he's very young looking, Chris Fairbanks. You know him? He's a fucking beautiful man.
He's fair, that Fairbanks.
Beautiful hair.
Yeah.
And he gets on stage and he goes, I'm a 40 years old lotion, thank you. And I was like, that's it, because it is lotion.
Yeah.
It is lotion, and the blood of the innocents.
Yeah, but that goes without saying.
I take one human life a year. That's it. That's not a lot. And quite frankly, because
I let the village decide. Am I such a monster?
And the joy that I bring to the world.
Do you do yours in Kelowna?
With my good? No.
The Ogopogo ritual. That's what I do.
No, I have a van, and what I do is I just most of the time van life hashtag. Yeah, I had to take
quite literally. Van life.
Apparently that violates TikTok's terms of service if you show you taking a human life.
Maybe we shouldn't talk about murdering children.
It wasn't. I didn't say children. You're the one who said children.
I was just about to say.
Old people. For me, it's all old people.
As anybody who's around our age will probably have a similar experience. It's like with the pandemic. It's just like, well, got used to this with AIDS because it was. I remember in grade 4, grade 5. A doctor scientist came into our class and for like 2 hours just scared the living shit out of us, and then we had sexual paranoia for the rest of our lives.
Put a mask on your dick,
which I'm only starting to get over. Then now it's another Cold War, and I'm just like, well, yeah. I remember this. I remember watching Threads, which really fucked me up as a kid. By the way, Threads. Most terrifying movie ever made.
It's about hats and clothes. It's about
when did it come out?
Phantom Threads. It's Daniel Day-Lewis.
It's about getting dressed.
Daniel Day-Lewis plays a nuclear mushroom cloud,
but he can only
you totally believe it.
But only using his foot.
There you go.
That's the amazing. It's whose left foot.
When did Threads come out?
My left nut. I thought it was called.
No, Threads was like 84.
Well, Threads was it was earlier. It was like 82. Now there's an American version. So for some reason, a couple of years ago, before the pandemic, before any of it, I was like, I'm just gonna watch a bunch of like Cold War like nuclear movies, right? Yeah. So I watched Threads the day after. Failsafe and By the Dawn's Early Light and
We Get It Bernie's 7 Apocalypse.
That's right.
That was a rough one. Ernest goes to the apocalypse.
Ernest goes apocalyptic. Yes.
It's just Ernest in that scene from Terminator 2 with the fucking nuclear. It's just him constantly just yelling Vern as his skin melts. It's a totally
like it turns into a skeleton.
Inverno.
He's still wearing that blue jacket.
Yeah.
The skeleton still got the
jacket on.
Vern outfit.
And still wacky.
Yeah.
Still wacky skeleton.
Ernest Goes to Hell, I think was what it was called. But no, so I watched a bunch of these nuclear paranoia movies. Now the scariest was absolutely Threads, because if you've never seen it, if you're not already suicidal enough, check out Threads, and actually it does kind of feel like we're in the first act of Threads, which is not a good thing.
No.
But this feeling reminds me of being like 10. I'm like, oh yeah, I was convinced every day as a child that we were going to get nuked.
Yeah.
I don't know about other people. I even did a painting in class in like grade 3 of a dream that I had, and it was 3 big red mushroom clouds, and then people running away from the mushroom cloud, and the people in the foreground are like normal people with clothes and stuff, but the people in the background are like turning into skeletons. And this was like my art project when I was about 10, maybe.
And then a nice lady came to the house with a clipboard.
For real, I got sent to a shrink.
Yeah, of course you fucking did.
And I could never understand why. And they're like, well, what about this painting? I'm like, well, duh. Like, you guys, and as a kid, just going, do you guys fucking watch TV? Like, what, are you really this stupid? Because to me, I was just expressing this paranoia that I had. And I actually thought it was kind of cool. But they were just like, this kid's going to grow up to be a serial killer or a stand-up comic or, you know. Anyways, but I haven't really felt like the world was going to go to nuclear hell.
And yet, here we are.
So it's kind of a warm... It's like slipping into a warm radioactive bath.
It's very retro. I didn't think that... The thing is like, I had always thought of Putin as like a rational, insane person. Like, he was the kind of person who like, he has an end game. He has many steps ahead. He really is playing the 3D chess. He's like, all right, I'm going to be here, I'm the richest dude in the world. I've got this, I'm going to do this. And all of us, it all seemed to make sense. And then this thing just seemed to have like snapped him. Like, he's just literally gone. He's gone sort of Trump.
Well, hold on.
But with actual power.
But, I mean, this is downright Shakespearean. You know, you reach too far. You get it enough.
Yeah.
To quote Roger Waters, who I've been listening to a lot of this week, give any one species too much rope and they'll fuck it up. And this guy just has... What do you get the dictator who has everything?
The Crimea. Yeah. But that's not enough.
He's already got that. And then and so now, you know, I mean, I don't really want to talk about this shit.
No,
because
I know.
Everybody's been talking about this and nobody knows what the hell is going to happen.
Well, I do. I was going to say, but now apparently we're not going to talk about it.
Anyway, my point is this.
No, I know.
If you're Generation X... My mother talks about those drills they did where you have to get... This is just weird. I have to sit facing away from you guys.
You don't have to sit facing away from me. You just have to turn the mic towards your face.
I feel like I'm in a Kafka play. No, but I didn't want to move the mic because you guys took like 45 minutes setting it up.
Well, this is our first time in our new spot.
Well, hold on.
And to be fair, Mike only used his feet. He's trying something.
You're doing great.
There you go. Look at that.
This
Pull towards you.
Hey, does everyone at home like that
You're
noise?
pretending like you've never moved a thing before.
What are you doing?
There you go. That's fine.
Is this better?
That's better. There you go.
Okay,
well,
yeah,
I would have
hear you now.
I thought you specifically had it way over here.
No, we just didn't want you close to us. Okay. But the thing is like, so I've believed for a long, like I'm not the Kim Jong Il thing is Un thing, which is one Kim Jong in French. Kim Jong Un. That never bothered me because I don't know if you've seen a Dong missile, but they're not.
They're flaccid.
They're not. Exactly. They go up and they don't stay up.
Yeah.
And they come down. And they come down and everyone's disappointed.
They're tired a lot.
Everyone's disappointed.
But in the first thing in the morning though, ready to go.
Whiskey dong. Yeah. And the whiskey dong missile. And so the problem is like, so that guy was always just like, I'll rattle my saber because I want some money for popcorn or whatever. But then Putin was always like, he's fucking legitimately terrifying because he's an old school Soviet Russian. Like that's what he is and he wants to rebuild. But I honestly thought, what's the fucking benefit here of this? Like what does he get?
What is
from
it good
this?
For?
Well, exactly.
Absolutely nothing.
But what does he get from this? Because he went from a position where everyone was like, let's not fuck with this guy, to now Ukrainians are stealing his tanks. Because the thing is like they talk about this.
They had a pretty good. I won't say they had a good day. But I will say, given the shitty day they started out having, the shit I was seeing on the news,
they did all right.
I was like, oh, fucking A.
Yeah.
Ukraine. It made me think of that bit in Seinfeld.
Yeah.
Where they're playing...
Smash!
They said, Ukraine is weak. And Kramer gets like way too cocky, and then the actual Ukrainian guy's like... just
How about I take you to board and smash?
Yeah.
It's just a game, buddy.
Weak.
But that's the thing is like, so I think that the thing is like, everyone goes, well, Russia's got them outnumbered and everything. Yeah, but if you look at how big that country is, their troops are not all in the Ukraine. They're all over the fucking place. And half of the Russian shit doesn't work. It never has worked. It doesn't.
What a country.
It doesn't.
Why doesn't it work?
They have a lot of their planes up on blocks in front of the Kremlin. There's people coming by, stealing bits. They're like, part out an Su-35. That's the thing about it, too, is like something as an aviation guy, and which really blew my mind, was the ghost of Kiev. So in modern jet warfare, it's very uncommon to plane to plane to shoot down more than one or two. It's not very common. This ghost of Kiev guy, which apparently is real, shot down 6 jets in one day in a MiG-29, which is essentially, it's like a late 70s, mid 80s Volkswagen of a plane.
Right.
They're fine, they're utilitarian, but they're not. And this guy took out a couple of Su-35s, which are the equivalent of like F-35s for America. Like they're the most advanced aircraft Russians had. And so at first I thought, well, maybe Putin's doing something where he's like sending all these ill-equipped troops in, and maybe he's like, it's some sort of, but now he's losing legitimately expensive hardware.
Yeah.
And so first I thought he was tricking us, and now I think he fucked up.
Well, no, he definitely fucked up because I mean, I never doubted that they were going to invade. Mm-hmm. I thought you're out of your mind if you think he sends 130,000 troops to the border and then just goes, just
no, he's doing
psych.
it. Yeah, that's annoying. That's a lot of boots. Yeah,
like no, whatever. I mean, I'm not at all shocked that this narcissistic egomaniac who murders his political opponents. Yeah. Oh my God, I heard this historian on some podcast, not NPR today, and what Putin did was he was the prime minister, then he stepped down, which made him seem very reasonable. But then everything went to shit, and then he appointed himself president. Yeah, and then he obliterated any of his opponents. But then he created the other political parties. Yeah. So basically, you could vote. You don't have to vote for Putin, but you're going to be voting for Putin.
Yeah.
So he created his opposition?
He created his opposition, which is so fucking brilliant. I was like, oh my God. It's like sinister.
It's like when I do a showcase, I always go up as characters as the other comics on the show.
Yeah.
So I go up,
mangle my ass.
I go up first and go, hey everybody, I'm Dylan Reimer.
You know who you should get to be me, actually, is our friend Jai Harris.
Jai Harris.
Who's been posting videos all over my Facebook of him face doubling me and just being me. It's very disconcerting. Anyway,
I think that's concerning.
Anyway,
is that the opposite of disconcerting?
What bugs me is that he actually does a really good impression of me. and I even said to him, like, that's going to drive Simon crazy because he could never.
I can't do an impression.
No, I won't let you do me.
I'm still just a little bit too happy. Just a little bit.
And now that I'm happy, it doesn't land anymore.
It is weird because we are drinking vodka sodas at your request.
Well, to celebrate Russia.
Yes.
Right.
No, to be fair, this is Latvian vodka.
Oh.
And this is how much.
None of this. Okay.
This is how much. I'm just saying about the Putin thing. This is how much he's fucked up. Is that they're freezing assets? The ruble just fell down. I unsubscribed from his Patreon. I took my $4 a month and I'm like, you know what? Fuck it, Putin. First of all, he's not putting out a lot of content. Yeah. It's a lot of the same shit.
I would disagree.
Inconsistent?
I saw a few shirtless pics a few years ago. I thought I'll sign up for this guy. He knows what he's doing. He fights bears. He's an old man. He does judo. I thought this is cool. He told Conor McGregor to fuck off. I like this guy. Well, he did. He just gave him a look. And you're like, you're going to get whacked. But now all this is not new. His new album is not as good.
Yeah, it's tired. It's just the same old stuff. It's like it's a bunch of B-sides.
It is a bunch of B-sides. Yeah.
What was the Ghost of Kiev? I never quite.
So the Ghost of Kiev anyway was this fighter pilot. So they said that this fighter pilot was up there, and day one of the war, this motherfucker took out 6 planes in a day, which is. Chuck Yeager did a thing once called Ace in a Day. It's 5 is ace, right? And he did it in World War II. And this motherfucker did it 6 in a day, 2 of which were high-powered warplanes, a couple other were, and then 2 transports. And he did it in one day with a jet that carries 6 missiles. Wow. So I don't know whether he was just went down, got more, came back. He was like, fuck it.
Yeah.
Killed him. And then just like went back up. And then there was another guy.
And is he like a legend now?
He's a fucking, and now apparently he's got 3 or 4 more. But apparently he is real. He's a real person. They showed a picture of him.
You know
like
what?
in his plane.
That's so cool.
If you really want to make a stand-up analogy, it's like when you have a competition.
Yeah.
And there's like a couple of pros on it, and then a bunch of some greeners, and then a couple of like medium, mid-level, whatever. Well, which one are you?
I'm the greener and mid-level.
Okay,
He's the Greenwood.
Well, at least you know your place.
He's the Greenwood.
Yeah, there you go. Got a couple of Greenwoods.
Greenwood sounds like a David Cronenberg movie.
But a lot of times, like some kid will come out of fucking nowhere.
Yeah.
And everyone assumes that one of the headliners is gonna walk away with
Yep.
it, but the kid just wants it more.
And then 22 years later, he's got a podcast.
Yeah. But you never won a competition.
No, I've never won shit, and I'm the best. It makes no sense.
You can be the best, but I won a competition.
You did win. What was the competition?
I won the People's Champ.
The People's
But
Champ.
it was the year they removed a 0 from the prize.
Yeah.
So I just been gotten divorced, and I was just like, I need to focus on
Perfect.
something. I don't care. It was because the year before it was $25,000, and then the year I did it was $2,500. And I just did it to occupy my time.
And then being that you're a socialist, you distributed the wealth amongst the other comedians.
No, you want to know what I spent it on?
Right.
To get even more depressing? Right. I buried my father.
Jesus Christ.
So
I'm sorry, but that's fucking brilliant.
I
gotta bury my dad now.
That was a hell of a month.
You just you at the grave, just like showing off, like a rat video.
Here's something I didn't know. Right?
I bury all my relatives, motherfucker.
So I'm going through a divorce. I'm miserable, whatever. And and all I could find is this shit little basement apartment just off of Commercial Drive. Amazingly, it was dirt cheap, but it was the worst place I've ever lived. This weird like brown water would back up into the tub. And I was too tall, so I was always hitting my head on the fucking door. Yeah. And the entire apartment was lopsided. I mean, everything about this place was... And then, by sheer stroke of luck, I just happened to move all my belongings off the floor and put them on the couch because I was going to come home and mop the floor later. And then I went to work, and when I came back, the entire apartment had flooded. And it's only like a miracle that my stuff was saved. Anyway, so... but I'm living there, and then knock at the door, and... it's someone handing me an urn with my dad's ashes in it, because the law in Canada, or at least in BC, if you can believe this, is that like the eldest male heir is the one who has to deal with the fucking ashes. So I got this tiny little apartment, and there's like nowhere I can put my dead dad.
Fucking white privilege. Fucking getting all the human remains.
Every day I'm waking up and going in to make coffee, and I actually have to move my dad's remains to boil the water to make I have to put them on top of the TV, but then I want to watch Die Hard, and I'm like, oh, I got to move I just had to lug these fucking ashes around. So when I won the People's Champ, I rented a car, and I drove really far north, and it was a whole thing, but I spent like about half of that money burying.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, whatever. That's life though. That's life.
It's death, actually.
That's life.
Think about it. You can't do that to someone alive. You can't just put them in a car and be like, you're free now.
And then drop them in a river.
Like, you can't do that. You can't do that.
Yeah.
Did you drop them in a river?
I split. I gave a bit to my uncle.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, you gotta share.
You want to share?
And then I still had a bunch.
Here's some snuff.
And the truth is, and it sounds horrible, but we've talked about this. I think I've told you this whole thing. I actually
we've never recorded it for the police.
I don't think I've ever actually said this. There's no good way to say this, but I took him to the Ivanhoe pub and I flushed him down the toilet.
Is that what he wanted?
I remember
Well,
this now.
I didn't know what
Is
to
that
do.
what he wanted? Nobody wants that, Mike.
No, I was about.
But nobody wants to be flushed in the toilet.
Let me answer. It was his favorite place. He loved the
toilets.
He was a drunk poet, and I took him down to the Ivanhoe, and I had his book, and I'm sitting there like reading his poems, and
That's
having a few drinks, and I'm like, I don't fucking know what to do with these goddamn ashes. And then I look over at the bathroom. I'm like, yep. Burial at sea, and then I just walked him over, and like I didn't really think about it. I just dumped him in there because now he'll haunt his favorite place.
That's kind of cool,
you know. But you tell people you flushed your dad's ashes down the toilet of like a
but you know what happens?
Bar.
You know what happens? That's how you get a butt poltergeist.
Well, you could do with worse.
Everything's moving down there.
Yeah. Anyway,
The haunted butthole.
Yeah. So after you flush your dad's ashes.
After you flush your dad's, what do you
really,
do?
World War III is no thing.
Yeah, no, that's it. I mean, what could have happened? Well, that took a bit of a weird turn.
Yeah.
I like
this is great. We haven't had a good long conversation.
We haven't had a good long conversation in a while. We haven't had one recorded.
Yeah. Usually we're in a car driving to like.
Yeah, usually. Well, that's the thing about this podcast. That the funny thing was like I wasn't going to restart it again because I was just getting bored with it. And I was like, well, I just like talking to my friends, so why don't I just record it? Because, like I said, you need to make content.
Content.
How long have you guys known each other?
22 years since I started, right?
Pre 9/11, definitely.
Well, no, it was I met
9/11.
Before Irony died.
I met you. Well, I started February 8th, 2000. So I just passed. I was 22 when I started. So I just technically am now a comic longer than not, which is a big.
Wow.
Yeah. That's a big one, isn't it? I had that one a couple years ago. Yeah.
And then that's when we released the special because it was like and then someone's like, "What did you do for your comedy birthday?" I'm like, "Oh, I just put out this thing that took me 2 years to make."
Put out a goddamn special.
And they're like, "Anything else?" I'm like, yes, I got drunk. What the fuck else am I supposed to do? I mean, I'm still a comedian, and I just decided, I'll treat myself by doing a podcast because God knows we need more fucking podcasts.
I remember Simon. Well, I think it was at El Cocal that we first met. Or maybe Urban Well, maybe?
Yeah, we met somewhere.
The legendary Urban Well.
And this is like
I'll tell you something, it didn't really feel that legendary.
Are you serious? That's like a myth.
Well, everyone's just like, it's like a great TV show. You remember like the couple of the best scenes.
Yeah.
It's like Kids in the Hall.
Yeah.
You remember the chicken lady, but if you actually go back and watch it, it's like there's 5 sketches where you're like, eh.
Well, everyone has that with their SNL, right? They always think like that the SNL when they were young, but it's just because they were allowed to stay up late. That's all it was. It's like, oh,
that's a really good point.
Oh man, fucking Sandler and Spade and everyone, they were the best. I'm like, yeah, there were some good sketches, and I mean, I'm not saying it wasn't a great cast, but by the same token, it was a lot of like jeans with an extra leg and Spoonhead. It wasn't masterpieces. It was just that you were like, "Fuck, I'm awake."
You want to? I actually predate that Sandler, Phil Hartman.
You predate
my
Sandler,
my
Phil
Saturday
Hartman.
Night Live is
Johnny Rocket.
It was like Christopher Guest.
Christopher Walken.
Christopher
Pine.
What's his name? Martin Short. Like
Martin Short.
I remember like. Being really little. Eddie Murphy, I remember being on it. Joe Piscopo. Anyway, but I think it's like when you turn 15, like whoever was your cast.
That's what it was. Yeah.
No, but the Urban Well, and just before, if any comics are listening, because
no one's listening.
Yeah.
Just accept that.
I did an interview in the Georgia Straight, and I said some shit, and like for years, people were like, "Oh, you sound like such a dick in that interview." But
what did you say in it?
Oh, because it was an alternative comedy piece, and I was just like, comedy clubs are my friends. Because I grew up in Surrey with a bunch of punk rockers, and they don't want to go to fucking yucks.
Yeah.
So I started doing stand up, like opening for punk bands in Surrey and stuff like that. And then some people were just like, oh, but what's wrong with yucks or whatever.
Oh, anyway, God, have you got an hour?
But with the Urban Well, yes, it was legendary. Yeah, met Robin Williams there, met David Cross, like some amazing fucking shows. Yeah. Absolutely, Brent Butt. And there is, watching Brent host.
He's fucking
every
fantastic.
Tuesday, 2 shows.
And Proud Love, too.
And I was going to get to that. Like Proud Love But there were, a lot of nights when it was just a bit of a
It was a comedy room.
Yeah, but when I say it's not, it didn't feel that legendary. It's like a lot of nights it was a real drag. You're just smoking cigarettes and
Stanhope had that thing. Is the reason old people want to go back to the good old days is because it was when they felt better.
Exactly.
That's when their knees didn't hurt.
Yeah.
So it's like comedians always talk about the good old days of the Urban Well, and it was just because like no one was filming you because they couldn't. You could do whatever the fuck you wanted. There was not a lot of other options for people to go to shows.
You might see Vince Fluke get thrown through a table.
You might, but there was literally at that point where it was like this was so to put it in perspective is like the comedy boom of the 80s was closer to then than it was to now. So like 15 years before that was 1985. Right. 86, 87. That's when the comedy boom. That's when everyone was rock stars. So these were these guys who had been doing comedy 3 or 4 years. Then they were now 20 years in 2000 and angry. Because all of a sudden it never came back. They were making 150 grand a year, 200 grand a year in like 88, 89. And then the shit the wheels fell off, and then it never came back, and then it won't come back.
And that was the atmosphere when I started, because I started in high school. I started in 1993.
Yeah.
Remembrance Day, 1993, and
perfect.
But I did take a couple of years off, so I sort of rounded off to 95. But anyway, people didn't do stand-up because it was cool or because you made any money at it. So the people I started with were just weirdos who loved it, and they worked at washing dishes at fucking the Keg or something, and then they did stand-up in their spare time, and you know what I mean? There was never... The result was that a few years in, if somebody was still doing it, it meant that they were really good at it because they studied it and they loved it. So like I kind of feel like I dodged a bullet because I missed both booms.
Right.
I mean, yeah, I would love to be 21 now and have access to social media and you know what I mean. Like,
well, you have access to social media now anyway.
Yeah, but nobody gets to fuck with a 40.
Like, I'm
turning 47 in a month, and it's like
you 47.
I'm 46, but I'll be 47.
You'll be 47 soon?
I will be 40.
That's amazing.
I will be 47 on April 23rd.
On April 23rd, you'll be 40. Is that Hitler's birthday? No, you're close to Hitler's birthday.
April 20th is Hitler.
April 20th is Hitler's birthday.
I got Shakespeare.
Oh, you got Shakespeare,
and I got Roy Orbison. You know, and Michael Moore, who I met on my birthday.
Hitler was the Shakespeare of mass murder. A lot of people don't know that.
He didn't get taken out by another playwright, though.
No, he was actually born in Stratford upon Aryan. Oh, fuck. I'm not good, but I'm fast.
That's the pun of the week.
Ladies, Stratford upon Aryan.
It would take me 4 years to write that joke.
and here we rumbled across the finish line with a shit joke. No, we're not the finish line of that joke. No, we've got time. We're still going.
Yeah.
It's just so what we need to do is actually now we're gonna do this new segment because everything's new. So this is new segment that we literally just thought of. And Mike, it's time. Let's get random.
Let's get random. All right, we're gonna hit the selection here, and we go.
Mike's picking out a random topic.
Random thing.
Maybe somebody tell us what's happening.
Okay, so what's happening is we're actually doing a random topic that neither of us know that's coming up.
So it's a random topic generator?
Random topic generator. That's what we're doing. Are
you going to add a sound effect?
Yeah, I'll do it afterwards. Okay. It'll be something like random.
There you go. Right. Well, you just did it.
There you go. That's it.
If you could bring back one TV show that was canceled, which one would you bring back?
You go. This is in your wheelhouse.
There's
and not God. Small Wonder. You can't have Small Wonder. What's mine?
It was perfect. Why would I bring it back?
Really
you can watch those 4 episodes.
Yeah, the ending with the murder-suicide was weird.
It was a bit much.
She just jumped in a bathtub and everyone got electrocuted.
Okay, so now you make me want to talk about the last episode of The Littlest Hobo. And how nobody's ever seen it, and it was super fucked up. But I think I talked about it with the last time I was on your podcast.
Did you have rabies?
I'm always looking for a reason.
No, last time you were on the podcast, you talked about Jimi Hendrix opening for the Monkees. Which
was
is
it really?
One of the funniest fucking things I've ever heard.
Yeah. Okay.
You have to go back and listen to that episode, which has now been erased. But basically,
you can YouTube that.
You can YouTube Jimi Hendrix opening for the Monkees.
Jimi Hendrix opened for. I remember you. That's And
a bunch of people with "I'm a Believer" T-shirts just losing their fucking minds.
It's like a bunch of white kids just staring at a young, potent Jimi Hendrix with a mixture of awe and confusion.
Like a 20-year-old Jimi Hendrix just out there lighting the guitar on fire.
It was fucking great.
Yeah. So what show?
Okay, but can I just address The Littlest Hobo?
Yeah, you can address The Littlest Hobo.
But I don't want that to be my pick.
Woof, woof, woof.
The Littlest... He never talked.
He didn't talk.
Turns out
because you can't have dog dicks on TV, guys.
Turns out
you can't have dog dicks on TV.
It was a 2-parter.
Oh,
the last
Jesus
episode
Christ.
of The Littlest Hobo.
It was a cliffhanger.
And they explain why the hobo is so smart. Fucking CIA lab experiment, and has been on the run this entire time, and is being pursued by like a Mulder and Scully type, and fakes his own death.
The littlest X-Man.
The Littlest Hobo fakes his own death with the help of a couple of friendly CIA agents. And it's a 2-parter. I just want to put that out there because nobody has seen it. And anyway, okay.
See, hold on a second. If we're saying that, because I think the last episode should have been like, we found a tumor on his leg. We could try chemo, but he's 14. You know what I mean? Like, it'd just be easier if we just, I'm just saying, just for his sake, for the animal's sake. And then he's just like, there's a voice that keeps on calling. And someone's putting a plunger in.
There's no tomorrow.
He just closes his eyes. And then it's just him being flushed down the toilet at the Ivanhoe.
Maybe tomorrow.
But he's not even ashes. Yeah. It's just shoving a dead dog down the toilet at the Ivanhoe.
Even littler hobo is what they call him.
The Ivanhoe.
You thought he's little now. Wait until he's missing a leg.
the littlest Ivanhoe. He's got a needle sticking out of his paw.
Where's a pen? Someone write this shit down. In reality, the show that I would most likely bring back would. Well, the thing is, okay, when I bring it back, does it mean I go back in time and they just keep the show going? And
dealer's choice. You want to bring it back now? You want to bring it back? It's up to you. If you want to remake it, Let's say that you could remake it if you want, relaunch it.
I would probably go with Kolchak the Night Stalker, starring Darren McGavin. You ever
Okay, hold on. There's a bunch of people Googling. Give it a second.
Oh, come on!
There's a bunch of people going, what the fuck?
Yeah, I just said I'm
Kolchak?
47.
I'm going to look it up while you talk.
Kolchak the Night Stalker.
How do you spell that?
Kolchek. Kolchak.
See, I never would have gone with that.
Kolchak, but look up the Night Stalker and you'll get it.
Kolchak the Night Stalker.
Kolchak the Night Stalker.
Holy shit.
And it was Darren McGavin, otherwise known as the dad from A Christmas Story.
Carl Kolchak.
Yeah. And
Simon Oakland is Tony Vincinato.
And
Simon Oakland. That's a great name.
he was a reporter who lived in Seattle who just kept running into like mummies and vampires and werewolves. And he'd go back and they're like, Kolchak, you can't write about a goddamn leech man in the sewers of Seattle. You're gonna cost lives if you don't publish this. Like, it was so fucking.
Try
good.
to snap
X-Files,
me,
but about a
chief.
journalist?
But they did kind of remake it with the X-Files, except
Reporter Kolchak, Darren McGavin, searches Seattle for a killer who seems to be strangling his victims every 20 years and taking a little of their blood. So just a regular guy who kills people.
pretty much, yeah.
A little of their blood.
Inspired from Green River Killer at all?
And
No. Well, the Night Stalker.
Totally different film.
It was actually a movie.
yeah, it was the Night Strangler.
It was a vampire in Las Vegas, and I always thought of all the places to be, that'd be like one of the worst. Why would you go to the desert if you're a fucking vampire?
The Night Strangler proved almost as popular as its predecessor, garnering strong ratings and eventually prompting ABC to order
You laugh, but it was a kick-ass show.
74 minutes.
You know what I would bring back, actually, because the cast is still alive, is I'd bring back the Ben Stiller show.
Oh yeah.
That to me is one of the, like, why the hell did you why did you cancel it? Like,
Yeah.
it was.
There's a few
It had
shows
Bob
like that.
Odenkirk, David Cross was like the head writer, Janine Garofalo,
Yeah.
Andy Dick, Ben Stiller. It was so fucking good,
Yeah.
and for some reason they canceled it. I have no idea why.
Well, I mean, they cancel so much shit that you don't know why they cancel it. It's like remember the Teddy Z? Remember the show Teddy Z, the Fabulous Teddy Z?
I do remember the Fabulous Teddy Z.
Yeah, and they canceled that. It was a great show.
And
Great show.
the Adventures of Beans Baxter.
Yeah, and Parker Lewis Can't Lose.
Yeah, and it was but strangely these all ripped off Ferris Bueller's Day
Yeah,
Off.
they did.
But then when they made the Ferris Bueller's Day Off TV show, it got canceled.
What about a cross between Ferris Bueller's Day Off and Falling Down? As Ferris Bueller goes off, and it's just like it's just him snapping and killing people.
Yeah, Falling Bueller's
way
out. Falling Bueller's way out.
Falling Bueller's way out.
Yeah,
Totally different
where
show.
nothing goes right.
Nothing goes right. Everything goes wrong.
The grown-ups are not subservient morons, and he shoots them.
Life moves pretty fast. Where? Shoots him.
Life moves pretty fast. Why are all the cars made in Japan?
The favorite show, speaking of which, my show I would bring back that they canceled, I don't know why, was Bud Dwyer's Suicide. It was one episode. It was over very quickly.
Yeah.
I had a lot of questions.
Actually, but for real, a show that I would consider bringing back, which they were talking about a reboot, is Northern Exposure.
I love that show. I love it. I had a thing for the bush pilot, Maggie.
Who did?
Fuck yeah.
Until you find out she's a conservative Christian.
Sure. Is she?
Well, the actor. But she's also hot in Cliffhanger.
Is that the one with the
Cliffhanger?
She's in Cliffhanger, dude. Yeah.
Oh, hey, God. That's
Yeah.
Stallone agreeing to a movie.
What? I went back and rewatched because I actually have them on DVD. Northern Exposure, because you cannot find it on any streaming service. Yeah,
and it was filmed in Roseman, Washington, or something.
That's right. Yeah,
What was Northern Exposure?
And then it was a show about a doctor, later played by Paul Preventa.
Unfortunately, there's no way that he could save the last season. Yeah.
But the doctor who gets relocated from Manhattan to a small
Joel Fleischman,
northern Alaskan town where he's the only guy who knows the big city ways.
Well, no, that's not even remotely accurate.
No, it's not even close.
It is technically it is about a doctor who moves to a small town, but it's
I was focusing on my Casey Kasem.
I thought it was.
That sounds like a very boring show. I'm not gonna lie.
It was a really funny hour-long comedy.
Yeah, it was good.
Okay.
And it had these surrealist elements, and it really leaned into like.
It was a little bit like Twin Peaks, actually.
Yeah, actually,
but without the weirdness.
They did an episode where they did kind of a crossover with Twin Peaks.
Yeah,
and it was just like. I know it just sounds like he described it as like a small town comedy, but it had this element that was so smart and it was some of the best writing
I love the
I've ever
Vincors.
seen.
I love the Vincors. I love how old. I love all
Vincors,
of them. They were all great shows. They was all great. Go and watch Northern Exposure. Are you 100?
Northern Exposure. Adam Arkin plays this chef who's gone off the grid.
Adam, not Alan.
No, it was Adam Arkin.
Okay,
but
not
the
Alan
character's
Arkin.
name is Adam as well, and he's just like a chef who lives in a shed, but he's like a 5-star,
Yeah.
like 5 Michelin
I thought it was
star.
Alan Arkin. I forgot.
No, Alan Arkin's son.
You guys.
Um,
I'm a chef up here.
is it Walter Matthau?
I don't know.
Anyway. They
I'm not used to hearing
these
myself
kids
in
who
the
listen to the
cans.
podcast don't know who Walter Matthau or Alan Arkin are.
Well,
They only care about Joe Rogan.
Okay, are you all hey?
Anyway, Northern Exposure is a show that I would bring back,
Bring it
provided it was like
Pull it
written,
up,
written by the
Jamie.
same people. You know,
Pull
it
it
was-
up.
That's more like it.
Northern Exposure.
That's a little better.
That's the voice in my head.
Hey, you should flush your dad.
You know, that's
Don't drink the brown water coming out.
I reveal a sensitive subject, like the day I flushed my father's ashes
Toilet.
down the toilet at the Ivanhoe pub, and you can't put the comedian aside for a couple of hours.
You know what? I'll tell you what.
I was laughing while I was doing it.
It was. You got to. How do you not laugh at that? I love that. And then you do shit like that, and then people are like, "Oh, too soon." When you make some joke about helicopter crash.
Dude,
You're
I
like,
made
"Are you fucking out of your
I
mind?"
got a fucking joke about that guy who got tased to death at the airport.
Yeah.
What was that? 17 years ago?
Yeah.
And it gets groaned so much that now I go out of my way to do it. Just because, and I must have done it 100 times, and it's only ever gotten a laugh.
It's
once.
a funny joke. It's a funny joke.
I think it's really funny.
It's about a man losing his life for no reason. That's funny to me.
because of authority.
Yeah, yeah.
Because
do
a
the
bunch of
joke on the-
a bunch of rent-a-cops,
People don't know how to use their
racist
taser.
rent-a-cops went
Racist
out.
rent-a-cops.
Could
That's the show.
not put their biases aside.
That's the show I'd bring back.
Racist.
Racist rent-a-cop.
racist rent-a-cop.
It's all shot on body cam, which makes it really interesting. I'm gonna shoot my next special on police
Yeah, but
body cam.
half of it's been shut off.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, the last 20 minutes of every episode disappears for
the
some fucking reason.
Oh, the battery dies every time I see a black person.
I posted that. I said I'm going to shoot my next special on police body cam, but you'll lose half of it. And someone's like, actually, that never happens. I'm like, are you fucking out of your mind? That literally always happens.
Yeah, no, it happens.
For some reason they have the worst body. I don't know who the body cam makers are, but they
Yeah.
are dropping the ball.
Yeah.
They are dropping the ball.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
ball-
So
the
you'd
ball
say
has been dropped.
Northern Exposure.
I realistically, I'd probably go with Kolchak.
Kolchak.
But like in my heart of hearts, I guess what I'm saying is I wish they'd just made more seasons of Northern Exposure. That's really what that question was all about.
Hang on a second. Gavin's here. He's our
I
next
could tell,
guest.
and he's waiting very patiently.
And he's very being patient.
And he's got a it's
We only-
adorable. He's got a cream soda.
We have 20 minutes
The
left. Are
pink
you
kind.
okay? Are you? Would you like something to
dude.
drink? Do you like a vodka soda? Come here.
Can I have a vodka soda?
Yes, you can have a vodka soda. You fucking lush.
I am a lush.
You're drinking. Well, what do you want? Do you want black cherry?
Black cherry.
Yeah. What do you got? Black? No, I got more. I got black cherry. I got peach. I have a peach.
Thank you.
Gavin's going to be our next guest, but I'm
I
going to
could
change
eat a
my
peach
shirt and
for
pretend
hours.
it's a different day. All right. So now he's placated with alcohol. Let's talk about the show I would bring back.
Yes, which
All
is the
right.
only reason you asked me the question.
No, it's a random question. This
Oh.
is what.
Oh, yeah, okay,
it's-
right.
Let's get random. Random.
So what would you bring back?
What would I bring back? What's wrong with Simon King? But what I started again.
Please say Cop Rock.
Oh man, Cop
Can
Rock.
we talk about Cop Rock?
Who the fuck made that decision? All right, we'll
You
talk
guys
about
haven't
my
mentioned
show.
one show I've heard of before.
We'll talk
There's
about
a
my show.
reason.
We'll talk about my show, and then we'll talk about Cop Rock.
And then and also don't forget the Cop Rock. There was also
mean, the
another.
whole-
There was another musical.
The whole
drama.
episode with Gavin was going to be Cop
the
Rock.
Cop Rock.
So
There was Cop Rock, and then there was
Stubborn
another
impulse.
show that was about a high school that was also a musical that nobody remembers. Anyway, go on.
it's called High School Rock. No.
That was basically it, though. Yeah.
It was called. Okay, so I think they should bring back Alf.
Oh,
I think Alf.
well, at the very because remember how the show ended?
Yeah, didn't the FBI fucking track him down or some shit?
No, that was the Littlest Hobo.
Oh, whatever.
Did
he go back to Melmac?
Alf was supposed to. There's this whole thing like you realize that Alf.
Alf.
He's like, hey Willie, there's something I didn't tell you. If I go back to Melmac, I'm actually wanted for treason or something. No, for real.
He's a fucking war criminal. General Gordon Shumway.
They made it very clear that if he went back to Melmac, there's a good chance he was going to die.
The Idi Amin of the galaxy.
No, they really did. They really said, like, if Alf goes back to his home planet,
I'm a war criminal.
Alf,
I've killed hundreds, mostly women and children. Hey!
You were only taking orders, Alf.
No! I made the decisions myself. I'm a bad man.
I don't know why I turned
Alf,
it in.
don't incriminate yourself.
Willy.
Alf.
Have I ever done my impression for you of
What the hell are we just talking about?
DJ Khaled Alf?
I don't eat pussy.
Anyway, No, I think Alf. But here's the thing.
Okay, but Alf,
Gritty
established
reboot.
in the last episode of Alf, they established if he goes back to Melmac,
Yeah.
he'll probably and not just die,
Melmac.
probably be like killed, right? And then the idea was that he was going to get picked up by a spaceship or whatever. And then it was a cliffhanger, and in the next season, it was going to be revealed that no, he actually didn't go back to Melmac. He didn't get killed,
But instead,
it got canceled.
And
so,
he fucked
so
off.
the last episode is he probably got murdered
Going
by
to
his
a
own
certain death.
Yeah. So just before we establish
But he's
that,
a war criminal. We've established that.
Yeah,
I wear the Hawaiian shirts because I'm evil.
Yeah, he's
Makes me look good.
he crash landed on the way to Brazil.
Oh, have you ever seen the inside of a person?
Just terrifying. But he does it with that lifted up voice. It's like,
Sometimes I'd cut off their fingers to get information.
like just.
I was just a German pig farmer.
Sometimes I'd cut off their willy.
Anyway.
Okay, so how would you pick up the next season of Alf?
I would actually instead of I would reboot it. I would gritty reboot, and I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding. This is not something because I have thought about this before. I would gritty reboot it, but much more like Alien.
Like Extra. You ever see Extra?
No, I didn't see Extra, but I'm thinking like with one of the xenomorphs, like from Alien.
Yeah.
But it's just in the house. Every episode
It impregnates
is just-
cats.
Every episode is just this family living in the house, like the last scene from Alien where she's trying to put on the spacesuit, but you just see this scuttling noise, and every so often you just like the whole season, and you
Right.
never see the fucking thing.
Does it eat Jonesy, the cat from Alien?
No,
are
it
you
doesn't
going to
Jonesy
incorporate
the cat, no.
Jonesy?
It eats the neighbors, the Ochmoneks.
Oh, okay. No,
Fucking
or
eats the Ochmoneks day one.
John Hurt screaming, held down to a dining room table in a suburban home, and a little furry Alf bursts out of his chest.
It's not John Hope, though. It's not. Here's what it is. It's what's his face? It's the guy who played Al Bundy.
What if they did a
I should know this.
Yeah.
Because I love the guy.
Dean Cain.
No. I've actually seen his the two,
Ed. I'll give you
Ed O'Neill.
O'Neill. There you go.
He was in a movie called Dutch. That was
I
actually,
love Dutch.
That was good.
He
but
punched a guy.
What year did Dutch come out? I've never heard.
And then wasn't that girl from? Remember Sister? Was it Sister Kate? Which was the one?
Are you thinking of Curly
Which
Sue?
was the one with Karen? No. Oh, what's her name? She's really funny. Blonde. It was It was two sisters living or two friends living in an apartment.
Are we talking about sitcom or a movie?
No, a sitcom. She had like one had dark hair, one was blonde. One Jane Curtin was one of them.
Oh, Kate and Allie.
Kate and Allie.
Yeah,
Love that show.
I could sing you the theme song.
Love Kate and Allie.
Once in a while.
Kate and
Just when
Allie.
you think just when you think you're all by yourself, you're not. Do 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 do.
Kate and Allie. But John Malkovich and Paul Giamatti.
Why?
Because it would be amazing.
Nobody. Clearly, you and I are the only people in the world who remember Kate and Allie.
No. Okay. Well,
My mother was the third.
Mother. Yeah.
Yeah.
Kate and Allie with Paul Giamatti and Sybil.
Oh,
Sybil.
Sybil. Well,
Oh, I had a thing
What
for
was the premise for
I had
Kate
a
and
thing
Allie?
for Alicia Witt.
I had a thing for the slutty friend.
The slutty friend.
Yeah.
What is the premise of the show, Kate and Allie?
Kate and Allie. It was two people. Anyway.
It was a couple of broads.
This is the thing about what I love
Okay.
about and
Friends with two
when I get-
people.
Would
before
you
we
actually
get
like
away
to
from
know
it.
the premise? So there was a movie that came out in I'm going to say 1979 called How to Beat the High Cost of Living about two single moms who start robbing banks. Anyway, the movie flopped, but the two stars, Jane Curtin and something St. James. Susan St. James.
Susan St. James.
They got their own sitcom, and they
Yeah.
were basically the same characters as though they had never robbed banks. And they were sharing an apartment in
So they
in
took all the
Manhattan.
fun stuff out of it.
It was
and just made it
I used to
shit.
watch Kate and Allie all the time. I loved Kate and Allie.
Kate and Allie was great.
Totally forgotten
Love
about
it.
show. Bring that
love,
one back.
I love Kate and Allie.
Yeah.
I like Kate and Allie. I love Newhart. Oof.
Yeah.
Newhart was the shit.
That's the finest last 2 minutes in
That's
in
the
any
that
TV
is the
show.
perfect ending for TV.
That is how
can't-
you end-
And there's a
yeah.
show you can't you can't top that.
No.
How do you fucking top that?
Newhart was fantastic.
You know, I share a birthday with him.
with Bob Newhart.
Yeah, we're the same age. I put out Button Down Mine 2, The Reckoning.
Right. Yeah.
2 years after his, and it was just full of swears. It was one-sided phone calls, but it was all rage. You listen to fucking me!
No.
You fucking listen to me! That's what my version of it.
You know what it was?
That was my version of it.
Actually, yours was a companion album that you're meant to play at exactly the same time, and it syncs up so that you're actually the one
other
talking
side.
to him. And you're just screaming obscenities, but he thinks he's talking to God.
You listen to me, Bob! You fucking listen to me!
Yeah. Okay, it's called coffee.
But I do it all.
Fuck your coffee!
I do it all. I do it all.
Where's my money, or I'm gonna break your little sister's kneecaps?
I do it all as Bill Burr. What the fuck? Dude, you fucking, you what the fuck? Oh, coffee? You son of a fuck, you dude.
You sound like Robert De Niro.
Dude, what the fuck? Dude, why? Dude, why?
You sound like Robert De Niro.
No, I do not.
You do.
Dude, I do not.
I just watched the King of Staten Island yesterday.
My impressions are off today. It's because of the cans.
Willie.
I have an idea for a show.
We're way off the fucking rails here.
What if
Mikey's got
Alf
one.
prequel when Alf is committing the war crimes he's about to be on trial?
Well,
Yeah.
maybe, okay.
A.L.
Hello, innocent until
and
proven
him as
guilty.
the war leader.
I'm just saying Alf could be like, the Robert Picton of his home planet.
Exactly.
And he's just
But he's like the Putin of his country. He's just fleeing.
Look, dude, he wants to eat cats.
It's Green Acres with a pig farm.
He's a fucking psychopath.
Green Acres is the place to be. We've buried lots of... Anyway.
Yeah. Family. No.
All right, I guess we're down to our last 10 minutes.
But we haven't talked about Cop Rock yet.
We haven't talked about Cop Rock. We can talk about Cop
Let's
Rock.
talk about Cop Rock, baby.
I don't remember much
Cop
about
Rock
it.
is just, look, there's nothing you can say except that Cop Rock was a show, a drama meant to be taken seriously. That was a cop show, but it was a musical.
A lot of times when they're hauling
year is this?
minorities
like
out
89?
of cars for having one taillight out, people like to hum a tune while they're beating someone near to death.
But there's one.
Percussion goes every
I remember there's one where like this dude is on trial for his life, like and for murder, and they're like, and the jury comes in, and it's like, jury, have you come to a consensus? And they're like, we have. Well, what is the verdict? And it's like, people will remember this. This was legendary. He's guilty, guilty, guilty. And they all turn into a big like fucking like choir, like church choir. And yeah, it was like that. Cops are just like, I shot a kid. He had a comb. I thought it was a gun. Like it was Hill Street Blues with music. You don't even know Hill Street
So
Blues.
Cop Rock and rock and roll cops.
But it's still racist, right?
Oh, it's totally.
Okay.
Yeah, and they were co-opting black music.
used to
So
be
it was like it was twice as racist.
It used to be called Blowfish and the Defendant.
How about Hooperman? Bring back Hooperman. Oh,
Hooperman.
No. Yeah. Anyway.
What about Sesame Street? What about post-apocalypse Sesame Street? Sesame the Road.
Oh, that's great. Sesame Road.
Sesame the Road.
Get away from Sesame Road.
Kermit and Elmo trying to get somewhere.
No, it's Oscar the Grouch because they're pushing a shopping cart.
I think they're cannibals.
But they're pushing a They're pushing a shopping cart. It's like it's like Follow That Bird.
scared.
It's the same story as Follow That Bird. But it's follow that road.
Just Snuffleupagus just using his trunk to turn a dead big bird on a spit.
I'm gonna try
one of the first jokes, my first closer.
We're on the road.
When I was starting out.
Any Cormac McCarthy is better with Kermit in it. It's better with Kermit in it. Take any Cormac McCarthy
Blood
movie
Meridian,
and put Kermit.
last exit to last exit to Sesame
No Country
Street.
for Old Men.
Yeah. But the old men are Statler and Waldorf.
Why don't you pick a side?
First joke I ever wrote.
Why don't you pick a side and we'll flip a coin?
I used to close with a bit.
And we'll see what happens.
I used to close with a bit about the Muppet Apocalypse Now. You know what? I still think about that bit sometimes in the shower.
Apocalypse.
And it was like, because at the very end, because it's Kermit the Frog in his little underwear at the beginning going like, the lily pad. Shit, still just the lily pad. Why are there so many songs about rainbows? And then Gonzo was Robert Duvall.
Yeah.
You know, of course,
Yeah,
makes
that's
perfect
the
fucking
casting,
sense.
yeah.
But then at the very end,
Who's Brando?
Brando was Bert, Colonel Burt's, but he was real fat, and he's like I saw a twiddlebug crawling across the edge of a razor, The horror. But then at the end, they all hack up Mr. Snuffleupagus.
Yeah, of course.
Which to me was the funniest image.
I think basically you could. So like, I want to. If anyone is watching this, which nobody is, because we have. I want you to write into www.skpodcast@gmail.com. www.skpodcast@gmail.com.
Link down
And
below.
I want you to link. There'll be a link. I think. I don't know. We're on fucking the tube. If you, if you can think of any movie where Muppets should replace one character replaced by a Muppet, preferably one of the lesser known Muppets.
American Psycho.
The Beakers. The Oscars. You know.
How about American Psycho, but it's not Patrick Bateman. It's just like the waiter. And it's only one scene, and it's never explained.
What about, what's that name? What was the Dr. Peabody? Or whatever?
Huh?
The green...
Oh, Dr. Bunsen Honeydew.
Dr. Bunsen Honeydew in American Psycho.
Or Beaker, actually.
Beaker.
Yeah.
Just looking at cards.
Do you remember John Manley, the politician?
I do remember John Manley.
I always thought he looked just like Beaker.
Not
and it
Manley.
made me laugh every time he came on the news.
John Manley, ironically named.
That's right.
All right, so we're in the last couple minutes here.
We are the dying embers.
Before I do
dying of the light.
Before I do the goodbye bit, is there anything you particularly would like to promote
Oh,
to both listeners?
a sense of well-being and peace on earth. And also, I have an album coming out. I don't know when you're listening to this, but
It's Dylan Reimer. Songs for my father's toilet.
No.
Do I look flush to you?
It's
the
just-
Dylan Reimer story.
It's just Cat Stevens music with the sound of a toilet flushing in the background.
Oh, the cat.
I'm not. That was Jim Croce.
The dad's in the toilet and the silver flush.
Yeah, or whatever that Cat Stevens one was.
I don't know what the
I
Cat
am
Stevens-
old, but I'm happy.
Yeah.
Flush. But when I try
Young
to
man,
explain,
look at my flush.
There you go.
A lot like you were.
I can't even believe
Oh,
this is gold.
dude, I pulled
Anyway,
all my.
I'm gonna put that in my next.
I pulled all my songs from Neil Young.
I actually I have considered talking about the flushing of the dad.
Do it.
In my.
How do you not talk about
I'm not
the
going to do it on my
dad
first.
flush?
Those are the
I'm
funniest
saving it
things
for my
I've heard.
fringe
Yeah.
show.
Talk about the dad flush. I mean, you open with dad flush. Hey, I flushed my dad down a toilet. Anyway, here's the rest of my act about other things.
Sponsored by
And the whole time they'll be like, no, you go back. You go back now.
Sponsored by Toilet Duck.
Yeah.
Right?
I thought actors would plug a toilet.
If your act was a porno, that's the moment
Nothing
you pause
plugs the
at.
Ivanhoe toilets.
Nothing. Nothing plugs them. They have a jet flush. They're very powerful.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure there's like human body parts down that fucking
Anything
toilet.
else? You got a website?
Well,
You
actually,
got a-
technically there are.
You got a
But,
Twitter. There are. You got a Twitter. You got a what do you got?
I have an album coming out in the spring. We don't have a date yet, but we're having a meeting, and it's very exciting. And we did the artwork, and it's all recorded. And it's called Macro Dose, and it will be on 800 Pound Gorillas records.
I like that. 800-pound gorilla, friend of the podcast. Not really, but we'll say it because maybe they'll give us something.
And I have a comedy website that I post like 2-3 times a week called State of the Week.
Yeah, it's very funny actually.
.ca, stateoftheweek.ca.
That one is funny. Unlike Dylan himself, the website's funny.
I'm more of a typer, not a talker. And that's about it. And you can find all of that good stuff at my website, www.dylanreimer.com. The OM one.
.com.
.com.
.com, which is like DEFCON, which is what we're at.
Yes.
Yeah, so well, thank you very much for being a guest.
Thank you
I appreciate it.
thank
Thank
you
you
for
for hanging out with
allowing
me
me
and my
to
mustache,
invade your privacy.
and my invisible producer. Mikey
I'm not
Greenwood.
kidding, man. Yellowstone. That's a Yellowstone fucking
There he is.
mustache.
I'm going for the.
No,
I'm
you
going for the
not so
Sam,
much.
not the Sam Neill. Not the
You're
Sam
more of
Rockwell.
the show about the Branch
Not Sam,
Davidians.
which Sam is it? Not Sam. Rock-
That's a Branch
Yeah.
Davidian beard you got
He
there.
has a beard like he has just discovered Jim Jones's podcast.
Or
Just-
He's like, I'm gonna grow this.
well, actually, there's a bit of Vikings in there.
Yeah, there's a bit of Vikings in there.
Yeah, yeah.
A
Well, there's
lot
a
of
bit of
neglect,
Vikings in all
lot
of
of
us, really.
neglect.
You look
I'm
like
just jealous because my facial hair.
You
is,
look like a Bjorn tired side.
yeah,
You're just sleepy all the time.
yeah, the laziest Viking.
I'm gonna say, please subscribe. There will be a button. Please subscribe to the YouTube channel. If you're listening to this on the wherever you get your podcasts, watch it on YouTube. We're starting to do this thing. You subscribe to YouTube channel, and also go to my Patreon, patreon.com/thisisSimonKing or patreon.com. Yeah, this is Simon King on Patreon. There'll be one extra episode every month on Patreon, and we'll also try and do, as we get going, a questions and answers episode. But this podcast comes out every week. What's Wrong with Simon King? Go to the YouTube, subscribe, like, rate, whatever. If you're a fan from back in the day and you're back, thanks for sticking with me and welcome back. And if you're new, This is about as good as it's gonna get. I mean, I don't know. It's not. We don't rehearse this stuff in practice. I know it seems like
We actually this is meticulously scripted.
Hold on, the teleprompter's stuck.
It's like Glenn Gary, Glenn Ross.
But yeah, so thank you so much for listening to the podcast. This is Simon King. What's wrong with Simon King? I don't even know the name of my fucking podcast.
Yeah, that's all right.
It's What's Wrong with Simon King. My guest today has been Dylan RHYMER. My producer has been Mikey Greenwood. This is where we're going to put the theme music.
Boop.